And now for the last look. Earlier this week, President Biden pledged before the UN to renew and protect democracy.
Authoritarianism, the authoritarianism of the world, may seek to proclaim the end of the age of democracy, but they're wrong.
He's right to note a worrying trend. The world does indeed face a democratic recession. The phrase was coined by the Hoover Institution's Larry Diamond to describe an erosion of civil liberties around the globe. He notes a worrying trend where more countries in the last 5 years have abandoned democracy than embraced it. It's gotten worse in the last year and a half. Under the cover of COVID, there has been a steady slide toward authoritarianism. For instance, we've told you about Hungary's flirtation with autocracy as Prime Minister Viktor Orban seized emergency executive powers and stymied opposition. But he's hardly alone. Take Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Quarantine measures were co-opted to crack down on critics of his regime. In Uganda, opposition supporters found they were disproportionately subject to coronavirus restrictions. But amidst all this backsliding, there is one bright spot: Taiwan. That's according to the newest report from the Economist Intelligence Unit, which ranks the self-governing island at number 11 globally, the highest-rated democracy in Asia. It jumped 20 spots since 2019, more than any other government in the entire world. Taiwan's score is largely driven by its election in January 2020. Turnout was an astonishing 75%, and in contrast to another 2020 election, Taiwan's election's loser graciously and quickly conceded, calling for unity. The success of this election is a testament to the strength of Taiwan's democracy. It's a relatively new system. Voters have only picked their own representatives since 1992. And over the last 10 years, power has been increasingly consolidated in the hands of the people. In 2012, Taiwan began creating a digital democracy, giving citizens tools to debate, audit, and collaborate on government digitally. Engagement soared. Moreover, nearly everyone in Taiwan can access the internet without censorship. So it's no surprise that Taiwan boasts one of the most free online environments in the world, ahead of other democracies like Germany and even the United States. That's according to Freedom House. Participation is effective offline too. In 2014, student-led protesters who objected to a proposed trade agreement with China took to the streets and even occupied parliament. They were successful. The deal was abandoned. Taiwan's COVID response boosted public trust in the government even further. Its population of 24 million had only 16,000 cases. Compare that to another island with a similar population, Australia, where COVID cases are more than 5 times that number. The Economist Intelligence Unit report applauded Taipei's pandemic strategy for successfully allowing the government to avoid the kinds of restrictions that hampered civil liberties in so many other countries. But for all its achievements, this democracy is conditional. Though self-governing, Taiwan is not technically a sovereign state. Just across the strait is China, which claims Taiwan as part of its territory and is determined to reunify the island with the mainland. In the meantime, China exerts control where it can. Taiwan's independent elections are allegedly subject to persistent interference from Beijing's meddling and disinformation campaigns. And the island is relatively isolated because China makes other nations and international bodies choose. If you recognize and have relations with Beijing, you can't have them with Taipei. And the backdrop for all of this is the constant threat of military intervention, whether from President Xi Jinping's belligerent language or from the regular incursions by Chinese warplanes. So, over the last few years, Taiwanese Democrats watched anxiously as China's supposed one country, two systems model in Hong Kong was eroded. China has also proposed this model to Taiwan, a model that 88% of Taiwanese reject, according to a government-commissioned survey. And as the protest movement fell and as China asserts control over Hong Kong every month, it is a bleak reminder to Taiwan and to President Biden that democracy at the mercy of an authoritarian behemoth is fragile at best.